Alright everyone, welcome back to this Beefcast production. I am your casting host, Beef. I hope that everyone is doing well today because we got some more StarCraft action coming at you. These games are going to be from the IPL4 tournament in Las Vegas, Nevada this past April. This is going to be Game 3 of a series between this Protoss and this Zerg player, and this is coming out of the winners round 4. Let's go ahead and get these introductions here. Starting in the bottom left-hand corner of Daybreak, we do have someone not quite StarTale legend, but a legend in his own right. He is from StarTale, and he is Parting. In the top right-hand corner, we do have his opponent, one of the child prodigies, only 16 years old, the Blue Zerg, the Korean superstar. He is Leenock. So here on Daybreak, we do have a new map just recently added to the ladder pool, going to be a little bit more experienced in tournament play. But Zergs do tend to favor this map a slight amount, a little bit easier to take your third here than on some of the other maps, such as Sakura's Plateau, such as Entombed Valley, or Tal'Darim Altar, where destructible rocks really come into play. For Leenock here, it's going to be easier to take that third, although it will be a little bit harder to defend in some cases because of the two-pronged route that the Protoss player can assault into. This hack path's coming from right here and from right here, so we'll see. That's probably going to be the focal point of the game, is trying to defend that third, and for Parting, trying to attack into it. We do see that Leenock is going to be going ahead and throwing down a 14 spawning pool right here, pretty standard. Forge Fast Expand looks like it's going to be coming out here for Parting. Pretty standard on most maps these days. This is one of the harder maps to Forge Fast Expand on here. Very wide choke right here. So if Leenock were to do any kind of Ling aggression, there's going to be quite a few buildings that need to go up. But even so, Parting going to go the more economic route and the greedier route of throwing down Nexus first. Hatchery going to be going back down at the same time for Leenock. So we'll see how Leenock goes ahead and approaches this. With that 14 spawning pool, he might have the opportunity to get 6 Lings across the map before the complete wall is up, but more than likely he will just try to play the economical route and get that third hatchery up as soon as possible. The other issue with Daybreak as a Zerg player and trying to do a rush like that, the reason that Parting felt confident enough to throw that Nexus down first is because Daybreak is an incredibly wide map. To get all the way to Leenock's base, he's going to have to come all the way over here, all the way over here, up here, and then finally make it into the base. It's a very wide map. Probe from Parting going to be able to make its way out onto the map here, and actually going to not be scouted right away by our Zerg player. Overlord's going to come in and see that there is a Nexus first down and a Photon Cannon, so the amount of pressure that will be achieved from Zerglings is pretty much going to be very slim. Once the gateway finishes here, Cybernetics Core will be thrown up, most likely. There it is, and the probe will complete the wall off with the cannon behind it. Very nice job. Zergling's going to be chasing away the probe right here, which is very important. Let's go ahead and see. He did see, yeah, that there is a third thrown down, so he knows that it's not going to be any kind of a two-gate pressure, or two-base pressure, which is something that Leenock will do every once in a while. He will actually cancel this hatchery sometimes and use those minerals to go ahead and invest into a roach pressure, a roach Ling bust. And it can be pretty effective against Protoss that don't expect it sometimes. We do now see that Leenock has started his first gas right here, just going to be going into that. That will likely be for speed, although it could be for lair. We'll see how that first 100 gas goes, getting its saturation up at both bases. And we now do see a Stalker coming out. And the reason that there's a Stalker coming out, not a Zealot at this point, is that the Stalker will be used for map control. There's a Ling on each one of these towers, actually 3 Lings on this tower right here, and that Stalker will do very well against slow Lings. It's going to be able to buy map control and allow for a probe to get out and get any proxy pylons down so that any kind of two-base pressure from our Protoss player will be able to get close warp ins. So the Stalker's going to go out, probably see a probe behind that at some point, try to get those pylons out there, because a strong pressure right here onto this third base can really throw the Zerg into a tailspin. There we do see that Stalker just chasing around those Zerglings. And back home we do see a few gateways going down, so a total of 4 gates for now. Warp gate research is being chrono boosted out, so there is going to be some +1 pressure, so I'd probably see 5 gates in total. We're missing 1. There it is. Yeah, so it's going to be a 5 gate +1. Leenock has gone ahead and started his spawning pool about a third way done. Really getting good saturation there at his main. Going to be transferring stuff, and so there's the probe right there. At about this time of about 6 minutes, you could expect that there might be some Zealots or anything else, like a couple of stalkers moving your way across the map. But a queen's not going to be able to deal effectively with that if you don't have some zerglings on the field and some roaches. So I would like to see a couple of spine crawlers go down, but maybe not just quite yet. Roach Warren is started in addition to Lair, pulling off of the gas here. Just wanted to get the gas really quickly for that Lair. I like that, going back into it now that he is going to start needing gas for the roaches when they come out. And nice job of these lings to come over here and scout this proxy pylon. This is what you need to do as Zerg. Scouting the pylons will buy you enough time to get units in oftentimes if you can get those down. Speed is going to kick in there, so the lings aren't going to get away, or aren't going to die, but they're also not able to kill the pylon. But he knows the pylon's there, so he's going to be pumping out lots of lings to try to deal with that. I'm really surprised he hasn't dropped a spine crawler right now. If he clicked on those zealots, then he would see that they do in fact have +1. And oh, look at this beautiful job by Leenock over here, going to actually be able to get a couple of these force fields, 3 force fields in total wasted so far, going to be able to corner a stalker, takes out the stalker. He's going to lose all those lings inside this force fields, but a total of 5 force fields going down thus far. He only has, what, 6 force fields left, 7 force fields left at this point on a total of 7 stalkers. So nice job to be able to make him waste 5 force fields and buy him time in order to get more roaches down. Getting Overlord vision over here so that these roaches are going to be able to snipe this pylon. There is one more pylon back here and a few more force fields going out. Only going to catch 1 roach for 3 force fields. It's a trade that Leenock will take every day. Spinecrawler finally going to be going down over here, and we do see that there are a total of 3 more pylons being produced up here, bringing the total up to 4, but going to cancel 2 of those as he realizes that Leenock has done a good enough job of defending this pressure. He's just going to go home, let those the sentries regain their energy, and maybe make another attack at some point. Zerglings going to be coming in here and do actually make it into the base. There was nothing blocking that hole, so the Zerglings are going to be able to get into the mineral line, take out 1 probe, 2 probes, and a few more probes. So this is a very nice job of doing some economic damage. They're even going to be able to get into the main base and get a complete scout off. Now there's nothing that he wouldn't expect up here. Just these 5 gates and everything that he saw at the front. Total of 4 gates at the top and 3 gates at the bottom. With that forge going to be producing +1 armor at this point. Back home, Leenock has started roach speed, so he's going to be going for a very roach heavy composition at this point. Hasn't taken gases at his natural or his third at this point, so a little bit of a slip up right here. The drone count is a lot lower than you would expect from a Zerg, but he did have to invest quite a bit. Well, he didn't have to invest this much in roaches. I'd actually say that he's over invested in roaches, but knowing that there was a 7 gate coming in, the reason that he knows that is that there would be likely this gas is taken very, very late, so it's going to be a heavy gateway composition. He knows that with this overlord right here, so he knows that the 7 gate's going to be coming in, so he just tried to over defend for that, in which he did, but as a result he's down a little bit on drones from where he'd like to be. But at the same time, Parting has a ton of combat units on the ground as well. So right now, I'd say the game's still pretty even at this point. Go ahead and get that scout off on the Nexus. Great job there. And a 2-pronged assault coming in here. Very important for Zerg players to really get the importance of a 2-pronged assault. This is the only way that you're really able to deal with a Protoss army at this stage in the game, is to assault from multiple angles and get at least 2, if not 3 angles on their death ball. Getting that strong concave will allow you to do a lot more damage and make sure that all of your units are getting their maximum effectiveness out. You're going to be able to break down this destructible debris, something that you'll always see done against Protoss players, making sure that they have to use more force field, and he's probably going to go ahead and cut, yeah, he's going to try to break out his units with the destructible debris, but he's going to lose all those roaches. Ended up losing about 7 roaches right there just to some sloppy micro. Immortal production has started for Parting, going to be very effective against those roaches, and we do actually see a spire. I don't know where the spire is, but there's a spire coming down, and there it is right there, taking gases 5 and 6, so going to be really upping his gas count right now if we take a look at that. So yeah, that's not the right window. I can't make that go away. Sorry, I'm offline because Battle.net servers are off, and so my hotkeys aren't normal. More roaches going to be thrown into the fray over here with the Protoss army. Immortal going to be incredibly effective at making sure those roaches are doing nothing, and the supply difference is only 20 right now, which you would expect the Zerg to be a lot higher in supply, but he's done a lot of wasteful moves with these roaches. Tunneling Claws has finished along with no, not with Burrow. So he has Tunneling Claws but no Burrow. Interesting. That gives them a little bit of regen, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure if that was removed in a patch a long time ago or not, but I'm pretty sure it gives them some regen, so maybe that's the point there. But Burrow is not done, so interesting. Mutalisk is actually going to be the unit of choice coming out of the Spire. And beautiful force fields, once again, going to be making sure to trap out these Zerglings over here, making sure that those units are wasted. But those Mutalisks are going to be very effective against this army composition. Immortals are not going to be useful against them, and so if you can get a good engagement with Zerglings and Roaches really being the tanks, and then you're able to snipe off the expensive units such as the sentries with your Mutalisks and just do that repeatedly, then you can switch back into something like a Zergling Roach and Infestor composition and really make use of it, because all those sentries and the Immortals likely are gone. So we'll see how Leenock chooses to engage this. He's going to be maxed out here very soon, and back home we don't really see any additional tech. Just going to be operating off these macro hatches and actually missing a lot of injects, just really focusing on his micro at this point. Finally hitting those injects and going to be poking into multiple angles over here. We'll see if he does choose to, in fact, go for multiple angles. Interesting thing about these Mutalisks, he's not using them for harass, he's using them for combat, you see, and we do see that he has gotten the high ground advantage up here, so very nice job from Leenock, going to be forcing 6 force fields right there in a very, very defensive fashion. So these Mutalisks, they do have extremely high harassment potential. They're going to be able to get into mineral lines and do a ton of damage, or just break down buildings like this very, very quickly. And right into the base right there, there's going to be a lot of Stalkers going to make use of the blink that just finished right now to go ahead and get out of there. Actually do snipe a building right there. I'm not sure what that was. And a Templar Archives looks like it's going to be going down, researching Psionic Storm at the same time. And Mutalisks are going to be trying to get in here to the mineral line of this other base. But there is no hope for these units that are stuck inside of the base over here. And a little bit of, you know what, a lot of of a miscalculation there from Leenock. He threw away about 60 supply worth of his army just to try to get into that base. Did end up sniping that one building and the Templar Archives and forcing a rebuild on the Templar Archives. Going to be doing dual-pronged harassment here with Mutalisks in this mineral line and Mutalisks in this mineral line, but these Blink Stalkers are so effective right now. They're just making sure that the Mutalisks are not getting away anywhere, and Mutalisks is dropping left, right, and center. High count of Blink Stalkers with plus 2/1 upgrades at this point. And I think that Parting is in a pretty comfortable position right now. Leenock has gone ahead and taken his 4th base down here, but only taking gases 7 and 8, not getting the mineral line saturated. Mutalisks are a very heavy cost in gas, and with this infestation pit that's going to be coming up right now, he does need the gas more than he needs the minerals at this point. Banelings actually morphing and then canceled right there, so very interesting. He was morphing them under an observer, so we'll see how Parting does go ahead and react to that. Storm is about halfway done with quite a few High Templars on the fields right now. Parting is a player that is very, very known for his Storm. Storm going to be used in almost every game of a Zerg versus Terran, not so much in, a Protoss versus Terran, not so much in a Zerg versus Protoss. But very, very effective against a Ling, Baneling, and Mutalisk composition. Once again, not something that you see too often in this matchup. This is more of a composition you would see versus Terran. But those Storms are just going to do absolutely insane amounts of damage to this composition. Just absolutely frying these Zerglings. Zerglings going to be getting in there again, to be able to try to cut off a couple of those Stalkers. The Storms go down, not the best Storms, so even though the Storms were slightly off, he's able to very, very effectively take those units out, morphing those Templars into Archons, knowing that they were going to die if that did not happen. Mutalisk is going to come in and snipe off each one of those Archons, takes out 1, 2, and 3, even going to grab a Sentry before he gets on out of there. High Mutalisk count right now is going to be rather effective at dealing with Blink Stalkers in small numbers, especially with Zerglings from the bottom. Blink Stalker versus Zergling and Mutalisk is not very effective at all if you can get the Mutalisk high enough, Mutalisk count high enough, and the Zergling count high enough. Back home, we do see that Lair is being morphed into a hive with that infestation pit. The whatever that one's called. Oh my lord, I'm a Zerg player. Why can I not remember that right now? Pathogen glands, that's the one. Has completed, so we'll likely see some infestors starting pretty soon. Plus 2 ground weapons for our Zerg player is completing. And these Immortals have survived the entire time, so a Roach switch from our Zerg player isn't going to be the most effective at this point. And that is what's coming out. We do see quite a few Roaches, but these Immortals are just going to be pounding in damage back here. A total of 60 damage against armored targets. Going to be almost 2-shotting, just barely 3-shotting these Roaches up here. And speed on the banelings has completed, so if he gets a good surround on these blink stalkers and forces their blink at an inopportune time for the Protoss, going to see a lot of losses. We do see a multi-pronged attack coming in here, and baneling's going to be connecting on a few of the probes. Meanwhile, he is going to be trying to snipe this Nexus, and it looks like he might be able to get it if he goes ahead and uses those forces correctly, and actually backs off and not... What? No, Leenock, no! Oh my god, and Leenock actually with some serious miscontrol there, doesn't use his Baneling to get the Nexus and actually pulls his units back at a very inopportune time. Tried to go back in to finish that Nexus the same way that I wanted him to, but it wasn't going to happen, losing a lot of roaches and a few Mutalisks there in the process. That was a large blunder from our Zerg player. More Corruptors actually going to be coming in here for the first time, going to be morphing into Broodlords as soon as this Greater Spire does complete. Mulus and Roach is going to be trying to poke back in right there, but a big offensive blink from these +3 stalkers, and they say, heck no, not in my house. Corruptors are going to be starting to morph over here into Broodlords, a total of 7 for the time being. And we do see that the Roaches and the Banelings going to be rolling back home. Burrow still has never been researched, so I'm a little bit perplexed at that choice. I think that it must have been just a mistake. Burrow is so much more useful for just things like roach movement, but also the fact that he could have burrowed these drones. Instead of losing a few drones over here, he could have just burrowed them. There is an observer right there, but sometimes you can burrow the drones. Warp Prism was used in that Zealot harass. So that's a very effective tool that the Protoss has in its arsenal against late game Zerg. When the Zerg army gets large and immobile, like this Broodlord siege army, almost like a siege tech army from the Terran, you're able to drop into their base because their defenses are very, very immobile. It's going to take a long time for the bulk of their army to get back over there. If they use the fast-moving units, the Roaches, the Zerglings, the Banelings, go ahead and take that out, then the Broodlords are left exposed, and then you can possibly take a contingent of Blink Stalkers like this one over here. It's moving off to the side, and even this one up here. So, very good job. You don't want to engage this army. A couple of storms going off there. Nice storms. Going to be using the transfuses from these queens to get the units back up. But the Protoss does not want to use his army as one big unit. Right now, he wants to be able to split it off into multiple sides to make use of the immobility of the Broodlords here. It's really going to be the game of dodge these Broodlords. Blink Stalker is going to be taken out by all those Banelings. Very nice job right there. But the Blink Stalkers are really buying Parting time right now, which is what he needs most of all. He's going to be getting these into various places, trying to even out the econ game. His 4th base is up over here at the positional, and the 5th base even coming up right now, defended by a few photon cannons, but with no miners at the time. We do see quite a few kills on these Stalkers over here. About, what is that, like 35 kills in total on the Stalkers. Excuse me. +2 going to be starting for air weapons right now for our Zerg player. And a couple more storms going down over here on the Broodlords. Oh wow. These High Templars are actually being taken out before they can even get their storms off by those Broodlings. Very, very strong units. With +2 attack right now, and nice fungal going down on these Blink Stalkers, making sure that they're not able to escape right there. But there were no follow-ups. The one infestor that was there did actually die. And so it looks like Leenock could actually be in a pretty good position right here. Our Protoss player does not have the units that he really needs to stop this overwhelmingly large Broodlord army. But these 12 Broodlords actually do not have a whole lot of health on them right now. So a few well-placed storms could actually take out or severely weaken a large number of these units. Mothership is starting, and this is the unit of choice in the late game Protoss versus Zerg army. The Mothership is so important for that vortex. Once again, we do have more Blink Stalkers back over here. Just going to be trying to cut off any reinforcements. Immortals being sacrificed. A little bit of miscontrol there. I would think that he would want to keep those for the Roaches. I don't think that he's going to be clearing up supply, mostly because he's actually 60 supply from where he needs to do that. Spinecrawler is going to be trying to protect the base over here, but do not actually protect the mineral line, so everything in the mineral line is going to be forfeited this time. Actually walking the Infestor right into that ball of Blink Stalkers. That's not going to happen, not a good time. And Roach is going to be coming back right now, so these Blink Stalkers are all going to die. One more fungal going to be dropped just to ensure that, but at the same time, the 3rd base of our Protoss player is actually being absolutely ravaged by these Broodlords. The Broodlords in this number just do so much damage, and Void Ray production finally starting, and that's really what he needed. If he wasn't going to be getting that Mothership out in time, he needs to start Void Ray production. They're so effective at dealing with these Broodlords, massive units, so they're going to be taking even more damage. Look at that, they do damage versus armored, and they do extra damage versus massive. So 20% from massive, and an additional some amount of percent from just being armored. And so that one Void Ray just being in there is going to be able to take out 3, maybe even 4. Yep, 4. 4 and 1 more Void Ray, actually going to be able to take out a 5th. Takes out a total of 5 and almost even 6 Broodlords right there. Nearly halving the Broodlord count. And so back over here, we do see the Blink Stalkers are going to be blinking in, taking out the rest of those Spine Crawlers. The drone's going to be trying to get their last minerals in before they do perish, which will be inevitable at this point. It's going to be a strong base trade situation out of these two players. Broodlords and a couple of Infestors are going to be the army composition of choice for our Zerg player. He has almost nothing else left on the map. A few Corruptors and a couple of Zerglings, that's it. Blink Stalkers and High Templars are going to be the army of choice for our Protoss player. This one Infestor actually going to be hatching and left there. Not a problem. I don't know where the mothership is or if it even completed. There it is. So the mothership is out. It's getting that energy. It has enough energy for 1 Vortex right now. That's the key number, is 100 energy for the Protoss. That Vortex is so important to be able to get those Broodlords in, be able to deal with the rest of the army, and then pick off the Broodlords that are highly weak on their own. And so these players are just going to go ahead and clean up each other's bases. The Broodlords are going to be putting in a lot of damage, very, very high DPS units, especially with those Broodlings as well. And the drones are even going to be called into action over here, taking down those pylons, say this is our home now. There's no minerals to mine here, but they can have it if they want. Nice fungal going to be going down on a few Stalkers there, but that Infestor is forfeit. His life was in vain after all. Full energy Queen over here going to waste. Sad days indeed. And so, yeah, at this point we're just kind of waiting for the base trade to conclude. The one thing to note is that there is a base up here that the Zerg player does not know about. Parting's 5th base up here is completely unscouted, and it's going to continue mining right now. It's going to be the only thing mining on the map right now, and as a result there is going to be an ability to reproduce for our Protoss player. Even escaping a couple of probes out right now. Not quite sure why those probes are over there and not over there. I guess he just wants to keep them with his army, very wisely in fact, just to make sure that in case everything else does die over here, he still does have a few probes. So that's actually a pretty smart move. And we did even see the Dark Shrine coming up, and I love that move right now. With no lair and probably no Overseers on the map, yeah, no Overseers on the map. The only thing that would be able to spot those Dark Templars would be fungals. So I like the opportunity for the Dark Templars there, and even outside of that, he does have a pretty sizable amount of gas, but also a pretty sizable amount of minerals. So he would be able to produce about 4 Dark Templar right now, and morph those into Archons if he did so choose. Whereas if he was going to be using High Templar instead, he would need to use up all of his gas reserves. Right now we do see Gateway morphing into a Warp Gate finally, which I guess that's probably the limiting factor on making those units. We do see that there are 3 Warp Gates down here still. If you could somehow sneak a unit in there to get those repowered. But beautiful feedbacks on those Infestors. Very nice job. That High Templar being worth its weight in gold. And will we see the... Oh, there it is. The Vortex is going to be catching the majority of the Zerg units. The offensive blink from the Stalker is going to be catching the rest of them and into the toilet. There's no Archons, but it's a Stalker toilet today. Stalker's going to be making very quick work of any of the Zerg units that come out of there. Even a couple of storms going down, and that's going to spell GG for our Zerg player. And it looks like Parting will advance out of this game in this best of 3 series, taking it 2-1 over Leenock. And very nice job. Quite the game here. We don't often see base trades in a Zerg versus Protoss, but we did today. It was very entertaining. I hope you guys enjoyed the game. Big shout out to IPL letting me cast this game from IPL4. Be sure to check out all their productions. They've got the Ye Olde Map tournament going on right now, and we do have IPL5 coming up soon, in addition to the Team Arena Challenge. So make sure to check all those out. Thank you for watching. I've been your casting host, Beef. Check out my YouTube channel. Like, comment, subscribe. Help me become a better caster, and I'll catch you guys next time.